ruthless Mexican cartel stormed into a quiet border town, expecting to intimidate and take control. But what they didn't know? One of America's most decorated Navy SEAL commanders was already living there, and she wasn't about to let them walk all over her town. What happened next didn't just shake the cartel. It shattered a $300 million human trafficking operation and sent the infamous Los Diablos Rojos crashing down. And it all started with one woman, quietly teaching self-defense in the heart of Rattlesnake Junction, Texas. This was supposed to be just another forgotten border town, a place where fear could be bought and silence came cheap. But Commander Lauren Shepard had other plans. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. And if this story hits you, hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow, we've got something even bigger coming your way. It was a scorcher of a morning as Lauren pulled up to Ramon's corner in her beat-up Ford pickup. Her instincts, sharpened by 15 years in special ops, kicked in the moment she spotted two unfamiliar black SUVs at the edge of town. New tints, custom rims, Mexican plates. Something was off. Inside, Ramon tried to act normal, offering her the usual coffee. But his smile faltered. "Some new faces in town," he murmured. "People are nervous." Lauren didn't need details. She knew the signs: mothers rushing their kids indoors, teenagers no longer loitering outside the diner, conversations dying the second a stranger passed. "Your community center's making a difference," Ramon added. "Miguel's son turned down a cash offer yesterday. Said he'd rather prep for his SATs. That's why she was here. Every kid who picked books over quick cash was a win." But then the door chimed. Her reflection in the coffee pot caught two men entering, designer shirts, cartel ink, predator stares. "Senora," one called out. "Time for Ramon's weekly payment?" Ramon's hands shook as he reached for an envelope. But Lauren set down her coffee, turned slowly, and said calmly, "Actually, I don't think Ramon will be making any more payments." The men sized her up, worn jeans, faded t-shirt, and dismissed her. That was their first mistake. "This isn't your business," one warned. "Funny," she replied. "I was about to say the same to you." He reached for his weapon, but he never got there. 2 precise moves later, both men were gasping on the ground. "You're going to walk out of this store," she said, crouching beside them. "And you're going to tell your bosses this town doesn't need their protection." As they stumbled out, her phone buzzed. A message from Nina at the community center. 3 more black SUVs just rolled into town. Ramon whispered, "Commander, what have you done?" She took a sip of coffee. "What I was trained to do." At the community center, Nina Patel, sharp, relentless, and loyal to the core, was already waiting with new intel. "They're moving up the border," she said, showing photos. "Town by town, buying off cops, pushing drugs, guns, people. Rattlesnake Junction is next." Lauren studied the files, faces, vehicles, patterns. She didn't need a war room, just the truth and a plan. "They thought this town would be easy," Nina added. Lauren smirked. "They thought wrong." By afternoon, the threat was real. A local mother arrived at the center, bruised, shaken. The cartel had started visiting shops, making threats. The local deputies? Nowhere in sight. But Lauren was watching, calculating, preparing, and what came next would change everything. Let me know if you want a closing hook like, "But tomorrow when they come back, they'll learn why some battles aren't won with fear, but with someone who's already walked through hell and came back ready." As another black SUV cruised slowly past the community center, Lauren knew exactly what they were doing. It wasn't subtle, it wasn't random, it was a message. "We're watching you." It was the kind of tactic she'd seen in war zones across the globe. Establish dominance, intimidate, take over without firing a shot. "Should we shut down the center for now?" Na asked, worry tightening her expression. Lauren didn't hesitate. "That's exactly what they want. If we close, we hand them a win. This place gives people hope, shows them there's another path besides bowing to fear. We shut it down, they win without even trying." Her phone buzzed. A message from Ryan Phantom Cooper, her former SEAL teammate. "Got your signal. Teams prepped and standing by. Say the word." Lauren slipped the phone back in her pocket. Her choice was made. Los Diablos Rojos thought they'd found just another soft target, another border town to bend and break. Instead, they'd walk straight into the backyard of someone who'd spent her life dismantling fear-based regimes. As the sun dipped behind the hills of Rattlesnake Junction, painting the sky in blood-red streaks, Lauren stood outside the center, watching shadows stretch across the dusty street. Tomorrow, they'd make their move. Something loud, meant to terrify, but that was tomorrow. Tonight, she had plans to put in motion, because Commander Lauren Storm Shepard didn't wait for chaos to come to her. She was the storm. Before dawn, the sky still heavy with silence, the first blow landed, Anna's diner engulfed in flames. Lauren watched from the shadows as fire trucks arrived too late. Anna stood barefoot in her nightgown, tears falling as her life's work crumbled to ash. "They came around midnight," she whispered. "3 men in suits. Told me I should have accepted their protection offer." She gestured helplessly to the charred wreckage. "Then, this." Lauren's hand tightened on her shoulder. "Did you see any of their faces?" One wore a silver skull ring, called himself El Coyote. Lauren's mind locked onto the name. El Coyote, Cesar Vargas's enforcer. If he was here, things were escalating fast. By sunrise, only smoking rubble remained of the diner. Across the street, she noticed Daniel Reyes, a young man with cartel ties, watching. He didn't run. He didn't smile. And something in his eyes didn't match the chain around his neck. "They're making quite the statement," came a calm voice from behind. Lauren turned to see a sharp-featured woman in her 30s, neat blazer, sidearm barely concealed. "Agent Madison Foster, DEA," she said. "Friends call me Mads." "A bit outside your jurisdiction, aren't you?" Lauren asked. Foster smirked. "Los Diablos Rojos have my full attention, especially after Del Rio." She glanced at the burning wreckage. "Interesting they're facing resistance here." Before Lauren could reply, 3 black SUVs rolled in and parked with quiet precision. The driver's door of the lead vehicle opened, and out stepped Cesar Vargas himself. Impeccable suit, perfect posture, predator calm. Lauren's years of combat experience kicked in. Every movement, every glance, every concealed weapon logged instantly. "A tragedy," Vargas said, his voice smooth and loud. "In times like these, protection is vital. My organization provides that protection. Without it..." He gestured toward the ashes. "Your protection looks a lot like terrorism," Lauren said coldly. His eyes locked onto her for the first time. Smile unchanged, but something behind it cracked. "Commander Shepard," he said softly, "I've heard of you." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Teaching housewives to kick, convincing kids that dreams matter. Noble, but this is the real world. In the real world, power speaks louder than hope." Lauren's reply was calm, steady, lethal. "Funny, in my experience, hope is exactly what makes people dangerous, to men like you." Vargas's smile tightened. "Men like me? I've met 100 of you," Lauren said. "Men who think cruelty is power, who confuse fear for respect." She stared into him. "Want to know what happened to those men?" A vein twitched in his temple. He stepped back, switched to Spanish, barked to his men. "I want everything on her by tonight." Lauren caught every word. As the SUVs sped away in a cloud of dust, Agent Foster let out a low whistle. "You do know you just painted a target on your back, right?" Lauren nodded toward the townspeople gathering around Anna. "Better me than them, and besides, targets go both ways." Back at the center, Na had more grim news. The sheriff's deputies, the same ones who'd been suspiciously absent, had just arrested Teresa Garcia's husband, planted drugs in his truck. Classic setup. "They're moving fast," Lauren muttered. "Faster than I thought." Her phone buzzed again. Phantom's message was short and direct. "Ghost team in position, 4 operators. Ready when you are." Lauren stared at the town map spread across her desk. Patrol routes, camera blind spots, entry points. She wasn't planning to react. She was planning to end this. She scanned the map, marking choke points and blind spots. The cartel might have had numbers, money, and local support, but now they were fighting on her terms, and that was a mistake. "Nina," Lauren called, "I need everything on Daniel Reyes. He's cartel, but something feels off. There might be an angle." "Already ahead of you," Nina said, sliding over a file. "He's 25, recruited 2 years ago. But here's the twist. His sister went missing last month after she started asking questions about their shipping ops." Lauren's eyes darkened. Human trafficking. That's what this is really about. Drugs and extortion? Just smoke and mirrors. Right on cue, Agent Foster stepped into the room. "Smart assistant you've got. We've tracked this pattern across 3 states. Small towns, dirty officials, fake businesses. But we've never gotten close enough to prove anything." "That's because you've been outside looking in," Lauren replied. "We're already inside." Suddenly, shouting from outside broke the conversation. Daniel stood in the parking lot, nose bleeding, shaking with fear. "They killed my sister," he choked out. "I need help. I can prove it." Lauren rushed to him, quickly scanning the bruises and how he winced when he moved. "Tell me everything," she said. "They're moving a big shipment tonight," Daniel gasped. "But it's not drugs. It's people. Kids. They're using Rattlesnake Junction as a hub. The cops, the storefronts, it's all cover." Foster swore under her breath. "We've suspected, but never had hard proof. My sister found it," Daniel said. "Photos, names, documents. She hid it before they got to her." "Where?" "The old cement factory. But we have to move fast. Vargas wants everything gone by midnight." Lauren checked the time. 6 hours to sundown, 8 until the shipment. Not much time to dismantle an international trafficking network, but enough. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ramon. "They're watching the center. 6 men minimum. Perfect." "Let them watch," Lauren muttered. "Let them think we're boxed in. They have no idea they're walking straight into my playbook." She turned back to her team, all business. "Nina, pull Sheriff Hudson's patrol schedules. Foster, I want satellite eyes on the factory. Daniel, give me every detail about their security. Routes, shifts, weak points." Her voice was calm, but sharp. The same voice that once led teams into war zones and brought them all home. It's time Los Diablos Rojos learned they picked the wrong woman to challenge. As the sun climbed over Rattlesnake Junction, Cesar Vargas had no idea his entire operation was about to implode. Brought down by a quiet woman who taught self-defense and didn't blink in the face of monsters. But first, she had a trafficking network to end. Foster watched Lauren command the room with practiced precision. "You're not what I expected," Lauren offered a slight smile. "That's why I win. They never see me coming." If you've made it this far, make sure to hit subscribe. Stories like this take time to tell, and your support means the world to us. Now let's finish what we started. Dusk blanketed the old cement factory like a veil. Lauren checked her watch. 20 minutes until the cartel's patrol passed the north fence. Through her binoculars, she counted 4 guards at the main gate, 2 more on the roof. Amateurs. They'd positioned the floodlights outward, ruining their own night vision. "The target's the admin office," Daniel whispered. "Second floor, storage room. That's where my sister hid the files." Lauren glanced at him. "You sure you're ready for this?" "They killed her trying to save those kids," he said. "Just promise me we make them pay." In her earpiece, Phantom's voice came through clear. "Ghost team in position." "Lots of movement inside. Looks like they're prepping the shipment." Lauren nodded. "Copy. Maintain visual. We move in 5. Agent Foster checked her weapon beside her. "Your guy better be right." "He is," Lauren said without hesitation. "But there's more in that building than paper. You'll see." Across the cracked concrete, floodlights cast long shadows. Ghost team held the north. DEA came in from the east, and Lauren's strike team prepped on the south perimeter. "They're loading something," Ryan reported. "Shipping containers, modified for humans." Lauren's jaw clenched. "Then we're out of time. Ghost team, initiate diversion." On cue, a chain of controlled explosions lit up the north end. Noise, light, chaos. No damage. Just enough to draw every guard's attention. As the cartel scrambled toward the distraction, abandoning their posts, Lauren gave the order. "Move! Radio silence from here." And with that, they slipped through the shadows. Quiet, precise, invisible. Every step was deliberate, every move exact. They reached the admin building, unopposed. Daniel's intel was solid. The door was easy to bypass and the layout matched his description perfectly. But just as they entered, two cartel guards appeared. Both reached for their weapons, and both went down fast. Lauren struck one in the throat and swept the second's legs before either could shout. "Second floor," she whispered. "Foster, cover our 6." The storage room was untouched. Dust coated the old filing cabinets. Daniel moved straight to one specific ceiling tile, pulled it free, and retrieved a waterproof case with trembling hands. "This is it," he said. Everything Maria found: shipping manifests, bank accounts, names of dirty officials. Suddenly, gunfire erupted outside. Ryan's voice crackled in her earpiece. "We've got incoming. Multiple vehicles from the south, definitely trained operators, not regular cartel." "We're leaving, now," Lauren ordered. "Foster, call your backup." "Daniel, protect that case like it's your life." Halfway down the stairs, they hit real resistance. 4 armed men, military-trained, fast, coordinated. Lauren engaged 2, Foster dropped a 3rd, and to Lauren's surprise, Daniel took down the 4th with precision. "You've got some moves," she said, dodging gunfire. "Maria made sure I could defend myself," he muttered. Didn't help her much. Outside, the cartel was ramping up. More vehicles arrived, and among them, Lauren spotted him. "Vargas is here," she said, her jaw tightening. "That changes things." Then another update from Ryan. "Commander, they're moving the containers. Convoy heading north. They're splitting up." Lauren didn't hesitate. "Ghost team, pursue those trucks. Foster, your DEA units intercept. Daniel and I will extract the evidence." Foster hesitated. "There are at least 20 armed men between here and the exit." "Then it's almost a fair fight," Lauren replied. They burst from the building into chaos. The earlier explosions had sparked small fires, throwing the compound into a mess of flickering shadows. Lauren used it to her advantage, weaving through the darkness like it was second nature. They reached the south gate and walked straight into a firefight. 6 cartel operators opened up with automatics. Lauren's team responded like clockwork. No panic, no wasted rounds. Just the cold, efficient precision that made her a legend in the SEALs. Then came Ryan's voice, shaken but clear. "We've got eyes on the containers. They're full of children, at least 24." Lauren froze for a beat. Then everything inside her turned to steel. "Stop those trucks," she said, "no matter what it takes." They were almost to the vehicles when Vargas's voice rang out across the flames. "Commander Shepard, you're interfering in things you don't understand." Lauren shoved Daniel and Foster behind cover. "No," she called back. "I understand exactly. You're not criminals, you're monsters. And monsters who traffic children don't get to walk away." "We provide a service," Vargas shouted. "One the powerful pay well for. Walk away and maybe you live." Lauren answered by triggering her last card. The secondary explosions along the east wall, right where she'd marked the fuel storage earlier. The night lit up with fireballs. Vargas and his men stood frozen, silhouetted against a wall of flames, completely exposed. Their night vision ruined. Lauren's team hidden in the shadows, with perfect sight lines. The firefight was brutal and fast. When the smoke cleared, half of Vargas's men were down. The rest, including Vargas, scrambled to their vehicles in retreat. "This isn't over, Commander," he shouted, vanishing into the night. Lauren watched him flee. "Actually," she murmured, "it is. You just haven't figured it out yet." By dawn, the cement factory was crawling with federal agents. Paramedics treated the rescued children. Evidence teams processed Maria's documents, and the haul was explosive. Bank records, names, dates, routes, proof of an international trafficking network involving cartel bosses, businessmen, and politicians. "3 of your prisoners are already talking," Foster told her. "They're confirming everything. This isn't local, this is global." Lauren watched Daniel speaking to agents, hands shaking but steady enough to name names. "Vargas is still out there," he said. "I'm counting on that," Lauren replied. "He's angry now. That makes him reckless. And reckless is how we catch him." "You're using yourself as bait," Foster said softly. Lauren checked her phone. New messages from Ryan. Ghost teams were in place across Rattlesnake Junction. Something like that, she said. The sun rose over the desert, painting the town in blood-red light. As the people of Rattlesnake Junction woke up, they found a different kind of story on their phones and radios. A raid, a rescue, a town that fought back. But Lauren wasn't done, because the real storm was just beginning. This was never the end. Vargas was going to hit back, hard, and Lauren was counting on it. The morning after the raid, Rattlesnake Junction woke up to a nightmare. Every business that had rejected cartel protection was torn apart. Ramon's store, looted, shelves smashed, merchandise destroyed. Even the community center hadn't been spared. Bullet holes in the walls, and a message scrawled in blood-red paint across the doors. "You're all dead." Lauren stood outside with Nina and Agent Foster, surveying the wreckage. Around them, townspeople walked with lowered heads in silent fear. The air felt heavy, not with heat, but with dread. "They hit 16 businesses in 2 hours," Foster reported grimly. "Clean strikes. No witnesses." "There are always witnesses," Lauren replied. "They're just too scared to speak. Yet." Right on cue, Teresa Garcia approached, glancing over her shoulder. "Anna saw something," she whispered. "Crates, at the old Murphy warehouse. Military gear. She's too scared to talk to the cops." "Smart," Foster muttered. "Half the force is probably on Vargas's payroll by now." Lauren's phone buzzed. A message from Ryan Cooper. "Movement on the South Road, 4 SUVs. Heavy weapon signatures. These guys aren't standard cartel, they move like pros." Daniel stepped in, pale. "Los Fantasmas, Vargas's personal strike team, ex-special forces, global mercs. They don't show up unless you're about to be made an example." Inside the community center, Lauren gathered her team. Maps plastered the walls. Photos, timestamps, intel. This wasn't random destruction. It was psychological warfare. Every target calculated to isolate, intimidate, and shatter the town's will. "They're trying to break the spirit before the body," Nina said, marking new sites on the map. "And preparing for something bigger," Lauren added. "Those crates? That's not intimidation, that's escalation." Foster's phone chimed. DEA teams intercepted 3 trucks near Del Rio, military-grade weapons. "They're arming up." "They're scared," Lauren said flatly. "That raid didn't just free those kids, it cracked open their entire trafficking network. Vargas has to retaliate, or other towns might realize they don't have to live in fear." Outside, the sound of engines turned heads. Black SUVs rolled slowly through the street. Los Fantasmas, 8 operators, every movement controlled, efficient, deadly. They weren't just passing through, they were putting on a show for the town. "They want people to see them," Foster muttered. "No," Lauren said. "They want people to fear them. Fear only works if you make it visible." Another message, this time from Ramon. "Commander, they're at my store. Vargas is here." Lauren holstered her weapon. "Time to talk." She turned to Foster. "Get your teams into position. Ryan. Eyes high. Nina. Implement Protocol 3. Foster caught her arm. "These guys aren't street thugs. Los Fantasmas are the real thing." "So am I," Lauren said, and walked out the door. She moved slow, steady, past townspeople who tried not to look. But she wanted them to see, to know, to believe that fear didn't win here. Vargas stood in the wreckage of Ramon's store like a smug politician at a press conference. 4 Phantasma operators circled him, relaxed, hands near weapons but not on them. Pros. They didn't need theatrics to be terrifying. "Commander," Vargas greeted her, voice smooth and cold. "I was just explaining the price of defiance to our friend Ramon. Actions have consequences." "Funny," Lauren said, her eyes scanning each mercenary. "I was about to say the same thing." "You think you won something last night?" Vargas said, stepping closer. "Those kids, those papers, nothing but a speed bump. But look around, at the cost. Your community's bleeding because you wouldn't mind your business. You made it my business the second you brought your filth into this town." One of the Phantasmas shifted slightly, a movement most would miss. Lauren didn't. They were waiting for his signal. Vargas chuckled. Your town? No, this place is a message. One I'm going to write in blood. Lauren stepped forward. Try it. I know these types, Los Fantasmas. Men who think they're apex predators. Know what they all have in common? Vargas raised an eyebrow. They all bleed the same when they underestimate me. The tension snapped like a tripwire. Vargas snarled something in Spanish, and the Fantasmas moved, but so did Lauren. She'd chosen this ground carefully. Ryan's team was hidden on nearby rooftops. DEA agents waited in the alley. The second the first operator lunged, Lauren struck. Her hand moved like lightning. A throat hit dropped one Fantasma instantly. Chaos erupted. The real fight had begun. She trained a town to fight back. They never saw it coming. The battle at the cement factory was just the beginning. Vargas had fled, but retaliation followed fast. By morning, cartel-backed teams had trashed businesses and riddled the community center with bullets. A message in red paint. You're all dead. Fear spread, but so did resolve. Lauren knew Vargas couldn't let the raid go unanswered. If he did, other towns might rise. When Ryan discovered surveillance photos of key community members in cartel vehicles, it became clear they were preparing something bigger. Then came Los Fantasmas, Vargas's elite ex-military strike team. Trained, lethal, and in town. Lauren wasn't intimidated. She was ready. The town braced for war. Residents rallied around Lauren's leadership. Community watches activated. Emergency caches were stocked. Lauren had spent months building not just defenses, but a network of resistance. Then came the midnight call. Armed teams hitting homes. Strikes across neighborhoods. But this time, the cartel didn't find helpless civilians. They found a town that had learned to fight back. While chaos gripped the town, the cartel quietly launched another trafficking convoy, not on Lauren's watch. DEA and ghost teams intercepted the trucks, rescuing dozens of children. Simultaneously, Daniel uncovered the cartel's command center, and a new twist. A corrupt state senator was helping Vargas from the inside. That's when they realized this wasn't just a cartel. It was a front for a vast international criminal syndicate. Human trafficking, arms deals, corrupt politicians, it all connected. Lauren's team moved quickly. They struck the cartel's command center while DEA agents hit the convoy. The town was winning. But the syndicate wasn't done. The board, the true power behind Los Diablos Rojos, deployed elite mercenaries and shadow operators from across the world. They converged on Rattlesnake Junction with military-grade tech, planning to erase the town and anyone who knew too much. What they didn't realize, Lauren had prepared for this. As the enemy set up, Lauren activated her full defense plan. The town itself became the weapon. Every citizen was a sensor. Every street, every alley had a purpose. Children played games that marked enemy locations. Elderly women tracked supply lines from their porches. What looked like chaos was actually coordinated resistance. The cartel's advanced tactics failed. Their elite mercenaries were ambushed at every turn. Their encrypted channels were compromised. Their secure zones were traps. Even their mobile command centers were under surveillance. Then came the final twist. As Lauren's team breached the cartel's data servers, they discovered something horrifying. The syndicate had ties to covert government black ops. These weren't just criminals. They were former intelligence officers using cartels as cover for international operations, assassinations, coups, global manipulation. And now they wanted everything buried, especially the town that exposed them. Black helicopters descended, elite military units swept the streets. These weren't troops, they were cleaners. But Lauren had a backup plan, Protocol Zero. With one command, she cut power across the town, erased their own systems, and activated deadman switches. Every file, every document, every video, uploaded and sent to international agencies and global news outlets. The world watched as a small border town stood up to the most powerful hidden network on Earth. Project Eclipse, the syndicate's most terrifying weapon, was exposed. Its leader, Colonel Sarah Walsh, confronted Lauren face to face. But this time, even the best psychological warfare couldn't break a town that had chosen to stand together. In the end, it wasn't Lauren's tactics that won. It was her people, neighbors protecting neighbors, hope defeating fear. Rattlesnake Junction became the symbol of what happens when a community fights back, and the storm that follows when you underestimate the wrong town. If that story hit you, wait until you see what happens next. 2 more powerful stories are waiting on your screen right now. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us bring these true stories to life.